There is a strategy that I personally use to help make my games more consistent and prevent myself from being lost in all the chaos and bullshit that is what we call late game. You're watching this video because all the other ones are either too situational or too vague to really take action on. So I'm going to show you my 3-step formula that I've dumbed down to make the game simpler. It won't take you to Challenger, but it will be the start of practicing good habits and keeping consistent in all your games. Step number 1. Ask yourself, where is everyone? You want to know where your teammates are and what they'll do next, as well as if there are any enemy champions that you can see to predict where they'll go next. And a bonus tip for this is to keep in mind their death timers. If a jungler and laner are dead, it makes it easier to invade their jungle for some deep vision, since you won't have to worry about getting caught by them. When you ask yourself where everyone is, you want to look at the map and identify certain things. Here are the things I normally notice. For laners, what is their wave state? Has the wave crashed under our tower? If they've pushed in a wave, it usually means they're trying to recall or they're looking for a roam somewhere. If it's the opposite, they're very likely to pick up the minions for more gold and XP. You could also look at what objectives are up and guess what they might do to prepare for that. For junglers, I try to keep note of where they just came from. If I think they started bot side and I see them on Raptors or topside camp, I can infer that they would likely go to the topside jungle or gank mid for a bottom river. This is how I often avoid ganks and know when I can play aggressively under the enemy tower. In the mid to late game, I like to think of my information in zones. For example, in this orange zone, I know it's unlikely that anyone can be there since the jungle and support is dead, and the laners will probably go back to lane. Therefore, I can go for a deep ward or I can choose to roam and go for a kill. And there's plenty more. Here's another example of thinking in zones. Based on the map as it is, I don't know anything. That means that every spot is a red danger zone until I get any kind of information. And it's important to consider where my teammates are, because my teammates' locations will also change how I think about that zone. My Jarvan and Singed are recalling, so we're 3v4 on the map right now, which means it is pretty coin flip just to walk into my jungle or river without seeing anyone. You can see that here I would have got caught by Kha'Zix and Rell if I tried to get bot side vision, but topside was just as dangerous since I didn't know where they were. It's important to keep this mindset when you want to move somewhere, as I feel like this is where most players die and lose value in the mid-late game. Moving on to step number 2. Choose your objective. Objectives don't have to be Baron or Dragon, we can make them way more specific by saying the vision around Dragon, or vice versa. It can also be control over a certain area, enemies' jungle camps, or towers. Pair this with the first step and you'll see how simple it is to start walking to the correct play before it even happens. And it's completely okay to not know the best decision from the start. You have to be content with making mistakes and messing up sometimes, because the important part is to go back and look at why it may have been wrong or if there was a better option you could have picked based on the information you had. A bonus to this step would be to try to make this decision around your strongest carry. You don't want to play around the 05 ADC, but if there's a 5-0 top laner or mid laner, they're probably your best bet. And just remember, your jungler is your best friend, most of the time. Also, one thing before you continue, make sure to join my Discord where you can ask me questions about support for free. I do paid coaching, but that's on if you want to. And if you subscribe before going to the Discord, you'll see a really cool magic trick. And if you don't, then you miss out. Continue on. Last but not least, step number 3. Eliminate and control vision. Once you've figured out where you want to play, you want to establish vision lines and deny enemy vision in common spots or places you think they'll ward. Vision lines work like this. Let's say I'm on red side. I want a line of vision where I can see them cross so that I know what is safe and not safe. When I put these two wards here, this section is basically clear to me. I will know exactly what is clear because there is a line separating what I do know and what I don't know. And our goal really is to have as deep a vision line as possible, because that will give us the most area to work with. Doing this will help you catch out enemies overextending and help you obtain your objective. And it also makes it so that nothing catches you off guard. Vision lines are really versatile. You can mix and match based on the wards you already have and just play around your line the best you can. Another thing to keep in mind about vision is to think about whether you want vision on the objective or around the objective. When I say around the objective, I really mean in the enemy jungle, whereas on the objective means in nearby bushes or directly over the walls. My rule of thumb is to do one round of warding around the objective 1 minute before the objective spawns. Then you're going to reset and use the next few wards on the objective. Otherwise, you're usually looking for wards in the bushes so that your team isn't playing in a fog of war. And it really is as simple as that. No matter what objective or play you want to make, you can't make it without vision or without information. The reason that vision is the last step is because you need to be safe when you're taking vision, and you'll want to know exactly where you want the vision and why. The real value in this formula is that when you repeat it over and over, you stop getting caught randomly by bush stacking, and you start being aware of the threats in the jungle and the river. And you also become insanely consistent in the way you play the game. Go subscribe and I'll catch you later.